Good morning, and I want to thank you all for joining us. My name is Brad Koch, and I'm a captain currently over the Central Division. I want to welcome everyone here to the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department Academy for our third Sergeant Leadership Development Course graduation. Today is a special occasion as we recognize 11 leaders within our organization. Each one of these individuals spent the past 4 months being challenged both personally and professionally. As we start off, I would love to introduce the class representative who will come up and say a few words, Sergeant Katie Anderson. Sergeant Anderson.
Good morning. I want to welcome you all to our graduation ceremony for the Sergeant's Leadership Development course of Class 3. My name is Katie Anderson, and I'm a sergeant assigned to the Metro Division, where I proudly serve the community. This morning, I have the privilege of representing the group of exceptional people that you see sitting along with me. Back in September, this group set out to educate, improve, challenge themselves as supervisors within the police department. We would endure physical fitness sessions, take on academic tasks, and dive into the inner workings of the police department to get a better understanding of our roles as sergeants. I want to give you a quick snapshot of the makeup of this group that you see here before you. Our group is made up of 10 men, 1 woman. Together we have over 150 years of law enforcement service to the Charlotte-Mecklenburg community. As a whole, we have 11 children, with 1 on the way in March. 2 have proudly served our nation in the U.S. Army. Many of us have bachelor's degrees, and 1 has a master's from the University of Charlotte. 1 loves mowing lawns and landscaping, and if you see me later, I'll give you his card and he can help you out at home. 1 enjoys decompressing by his koi pond. 1 is an expert antique buyer. 1 can play 3 different musical instruments, and 1 is a first-generation American. And finally, 1 actually auditioned to be a Radio City Music Hall Rockette, but I guess you can't guess who that one was. We are a group of multi-talented individuals who have varied interests and passions, as well as a large number of responsibilities and commitments. But there's one thing we all have in common: to be better supervisors. The role of a supervisor does encompass leadership, but more importantly, though, it encompasses coaching and mentoring. This course afforded us the opportunity to strengthen those skills so we could reinforce the foundation on which the department is built. We want to thank all the instructors and command staff that came and shared their experiences and knowledge with us through this journey. Thank you to Sergeant Henry Roselle, Lieutenant Trent Beam, and Lieutenant Furr for their dedication to our group. And a special thanks to Officer Wayne Embry for his passion and devotion to truly making us better people. And to my classmates of Class 3, it has been an honor to be a part of this group. I truly have learned something from each and every one of you, and I am grateful for this experience with you all. And I want to leave you with one last thought. Don't try to be the best on the team. However, try whatever you can to try to be the best for your team. Thanks.
Thank you, Katie. If you notice, she did not share with you who each of those individuals was, so at home, we'd love for you to guess at who each of those individuals are as we recognize them. I'm kidding. It is my honor and privilege to introduce retired Deputy Chief Jeff Estes as our guest speaker today. Chief Estes began his career at CMPD in November of 1992, and he retired after nearly 30 years of service about 1 year ago. He enjoyed life at home for about 37 minutes before jumping back into the workforce and is now an executive with Allied Universal. He's a U.S. Marine Corps veteran, and as a member of the department, he graduated from the Major City Chiefs Police Executive Leadership Institute was a member of the 231st session of the FBI's National Academy. He led the department's COVID-19 response and led the development of the My CMPD mobile app, just to name a few. He also led the development of the Command College and this very own Sargent's Leadership Development course, and is a mentor of myself. At this time, I'd like to please welcome Deputy Chief Estes. Chief.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it very much. It is an honor and privilege to be back with you today. As he said, I left in January after deciding to leave public life and to go to greener pastures in the private sector. Except I'll just go ahead and tell you now that the greener pastures is full of the same sort of things that we face and you face here. I did take a full 2 weeks off though, so I had plenty of time. I realized very quickly in the first week, my wife is very industrious, and she uses Pinterest, and so I started getting these Pinterest ideas on the phone in the first week, and I was like, I might find something to do. This is not going to work out right. But anyway, I moved on to the private sector, and so when I was asked to speak today, we thought a little bit, hey, maybe I can talk about the transition from public life to private life and all that, and I thought about it. Yeah, I will, but more importantly, to the graduates here and to those of you in the room, I thought the similarities would be more interesting to you, I think, than kind of the differences and challenges, because the challenges all remain the same. People are people, and the leadership is the same. Those principles are the same. And so, like most of us in this room, we've had to sit through speakers, talking, doing ceremonies, and you get bored in 10 minutes and you graduate and it's over. And this will be the same. But I hope I leave you with a couple of things, at least, for you to think about from a person who has been through it and now has had a chance to reflect and look back on the other side. Like, hey, how was it? Like, what did you realize now that this big race that you're in to achieve or to lead or do whatever, now that it's over, what were some of your takeaways? And so that's what I hope to share that with you. The first thing that I would tell you is to use your time wisely. When I was on the department, a day didn't go by where people wouldn't ask questions like, hey, how much time you got left? And not in a way of like, I cherish them, in a way of I want them to hurry up and go by. Well, I assure you, they'll go by. And in the end, you'll be left with the thoughts and ideals and the people that you worked with. And that's it. So everybody in here, you'll have a last day. Most of us in here are in uniform. You should be very proud of that uniform. It has grown, and you guys all know I was one of the sticklers about uniforms and all that when I was here, and I still feel that way, and you should be proud of it. There will be a day, though, when the last day you'll wear it will come, and you hang it up, and you put it in a closet, and they'll give you a nice box to put your badge in, and everything in your identity of being an officer is put away. Now, many of you are sitting here thinking, oh my God, I can't wait for that day to come. Well, that's what I want to talk to you about. Use your time wisely, because as I said, at the end of it, all you're going to be left with is the genuine and authentic things that you did with the people that you worked with. And you'll look back and go, yeah, that's pretty cool. Or you'll look back and go, yeah, I kind of wasted some of that. And if you're honest with yourself, if I'm honest with myself, I say both. I wasted some. But I was fortunate enough to work with some really good people who didn't waste it. So imagine every day if you had a bank account that $86,400 was deposited into that every single morning. With the one caveat, you had to spend it all in 24 hours and you couldn't carry it over to any other account. Think what you would do every day, right? You'd spend it, right? I mean, who would leave money on the table, right? Well, you do. You have 86,400 seconds every day that they're yours to spend, to do, to figure out how you want to make the best use out of them. For better, for worse, you all have chosen, like I did, to spend our entire adult lives being something bigger than ourselves, right? Representing something. You know, we're not going to be rich working our jobs. We know that. Not rich in money and funds. Anyway. So I just want to leave you with this small piece when I say leave or use your time wisely. Because when you leave and you turn around, and I experience this firsthand, after everything is hung up, after all the titles and whatever are done, all the courses and classes that you are left with, when you put that all away, what you'll find is you're left alone with yourself and the memories of what you did as a part of an organization and the people that you did it with. You will have some regrets. I hope that you use my words wisely and make the best of them so you don't have regrets when you look back. Okay? Because you chose to live your life this way. You chose this career. You chose this calling. So if you're here and you decided this is what I want to be, then make the best of it and use your time wisely. Following that, most of us think that if we can gather and get and pull into ourselves through education, through achievement, through all of these things, that's how we succeed. And to a small degree, that's right. But you will find a time when you've reached a point in leadership, and all of you have found that right now, is that you actually gain more by pouring out into others than you do by gathering yourself. It's a strange proposition. Because most of us think by my personal achievements, by everything that I can get for me, I will achieve. And to a certain degree you do, but the real leadership, the real fulfillment in that is when you take whatever you have been given by others and you turn and you give that away. Once you begin giving that away, even to the point that it hurts, right? Even to the point of, hey, I am so happy that, I was a sergeant. Now there's an officer who came up that I mentored. He or she is a sergeant now. And then they make lieutenant above me, whatever. Yeah, there's some personal feelings there, but you should be proud of that. And you'll gain from that. The point I'm trying to make here is I have found in looking back that I'm most proud of the times when I was able to pour into other people and leave a legacy, if you will, of other people, and for them to leave and to keep it going. That's what's been so fulfilling. I would ask you, as you think about your career, however much time is left in it, I'd ask you to consider pouring whatever you can into whoever you can, whenever you can. I promise you that will be valuable to you as you move forward. It reminds me of a story. There was a poor lady who lived up in the mountains and lived by herself. And one day she was down in the stream looking for fish and fishing or whatever. And she comes across this gem. And it was of course, immense value. Now to her, living way far away, of course, value was a lot. And so she was very happy that, oh my gosh, I found this gem. At about that same time, there was a traveler who came, and he stumbled into her house there in the mountains, and of course he was poor and destitute, but just on his way somewhere. And when he asked her for some food, she opened up a bag where she kept her most valuable possessions, which included what little food she had. He saw the gem in the bottom. And he looked at her, and she saw that he was more destitute than her, and he said, what a valuable thing you have here. Will you give it to me? And she says, without hesitation, sure, here you go. So he takes the gym and he leaves. The lady goes on about her life. A couple of days later, there's a knock on the door. The guy says, she says, what are you doing back here? He goes, I've been thinking about it. He said, I got it 2 days away, and I thought about it, and I came back, and I want to give you your gym back. And she was like, wow, I thought you needed it to have a better life and whatever. He goes, I do, but then I thought that what I really want from you is of the value that you have, the real valuable thing you have. She was like, what is that? He said, I want you to tell me or show me how to get what is inside you to be able to give your most valuable thing away. That's the value, not the gym. It's the thing inside you that allows to give the best part of you, the most valuable thing you have, away. I challenge you to do that. Give it away, and I promise it'll come back to you, whether in rank or whatever, or fulfillment, but it'll come back to you in the knowledge of a job well done. And lastly, I want to talk to you about this whole business about achievement in our police department and rank and, the never-ending chase I felt like that we had to try to, I want to be a sergeant, I want to be a lieutenant, I want to be whatever the rank might be. And I want you to kind of change your focus, because as professionals, particularly when you're trying to come up through the ranks and whatever, it's easy to get hyper-focused on that. You've heard the terms, oh, so-and-so got passed over, right? For some promotion or whatever, or position, laterally or wherever. We can get hung up on that. It's real easy to do. In my career, many times I had that very same thing hamstring me. And it was a negative, and it was a bad thing. And then there was a turning point years ago where I gave it all up. And if I'm candid with you, the reason that I gave it all up is I thought that at the time I thought that the agency was dumb. They didn't know what they were talking about. I was the best thing ever. How come they promoted people over me, and I didn't get this position, I didn't get that position, and all that? And I was like, yeah, forget it. And if you're honest with yourself, maybe some of you guys have been in the same spot, maybe. Or you feel like you're headed that way. But here's what happened. When I got to the end of all that, I also knew that I had, like I said earlier, devoted my life to this. And when I gave it up, when I gave up that chase for the next thing, and really focused on some of the things I've already talked about, pouring into others and being the best that I could be, and those valuable things, it's crazy what happened. When I focused on those things and not on the rat race of achievement, then achievement followed me. It's the weirdest thing. When I stopped focusing so much on it, and I just focused on being me, then things happen. And so the words I wrote down here is authentic. So for those of you who are quote-unquote civilians here, I'll tell you this. In the policing world, like in the private sector, really, but more particularly in the policing world, we can smell a fake a mile away. And I've thought about it. I think sometimes it comes from us, from our ability on the street, when you have people blowing smoke and lying to you, nonstop. We get pretty good at figuring that out. Well, internally, we do the same to the nth degree. So if you're an inauthentic leader, if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, i.e. yourself, we can smell it a mile away. Now, there are people who are inauthentic leaders in our midst, and when I was there, certainly, and I think this shift and changes over time, and we know it. And there are people who, of course, achieve success at being inauthentic, but that doesn't change the fact that they're inauthentic. There is value in being yourself. There is value in being true, value in being a servant leader, putting the good of your troops before yourself. There's value there. If nothing else, you are true You're authentic. You're the leader, right? You're not a leader by position. You're a leader by personhood. To me, that is the most valuable thing. And in looking back, the people who I admire the most, the people who I think had the most to do with my career, who I've learned the most from, are those authentic leaders, no matter the rank. There was a time, and I know some of you old-timers in here will remember, that when the sergeant was the thing, back in a long time ago, like in the early 90s, whatever, the sergeant was like, everything. And whatever the sergeant said went. And some of the most influential people in my career were my sergeants. Past, all the other ranks or whatever, the sergeants meant the most to me. And you have that opportunity to be authentic. Put yourselves aside. As I said, good things will follow, I promise you. If you're you, and if you're authentic, and you're true, I'm telling you, your troops will know that. But if you're fake, and you do it for yourself, and you do it to climb over, to get on top, to try to be, whatever you aspire to be, it will find you out. In the street, you all know that there were sergeants that you worked for, that when a hot call came, they're in the office. There are others that when a hot call came, they'd be first there on the scene. Now I'll ask you, which one of those two is more valuable to you? Which one of those two left a mark on your career? Now it doesn't always have to be the hot call. What it can be is the real problem in the office. It can be a personnel situation that you have to handle. You have to deal with something straight up that's difficult. And they expect you to be there, whether it's a hot call or the hot personnel situation or whatever it might be. They want you to be there. They want you to be genuine. They want you to be authentic. I'm a fan of history, and some of you know that. And there was a story I read one time about Winston Churchill. There was a certain flight sergeant in the Royal Air Force who there was a large plane, and back then there were prop planes, and they flew fairly slow. And there was a fire in one of the outboard engines. And back then, fires on engines of planes meant almost certain doom and disaster. This guy was able to crawl out onto at a slow speed onto the fuselage and use a fire extinguisher or somehow otherwise extinguish the fire on an engine to keep it from spreading to the fuel lines. It was able to get back. They landed the plane safely and saved a bunch of people on board. I mean, talk about heroic, right? So he had an occasion to meet Churchill. And the same person who did that when he met Winston was shaking beyond his capabilities to speak. He was so impressed and so overcome by meeting Churchill himself that he couldn't speak. So Churchill walked up to him and said, hey, I'm Winston Churchill. I bet you're so impressed and don't know what to say about meeting me, right? And the guy just nodded his head, and he said, well, imagine how I feel about meeting you. And from that instant, Churchill's authenticity of trying to show the guy, look, I'm in awe of you. You shouldn't be in awe of me. Through his authenticity, the guy was able to kind of, a light went off, and he was able to speak and go about his way. So today, as I leave you, a couple of key points that I wanted to just make sure you got. Number one, use your time wisely. It's going to come to an end, and all you're left with are the things that you did. Number two, pour into people. You will get more by giving away than you do by keeping for yourself. I have also found this is true in private life too. Like I coached a lot. And in the middle of, there were some years there, and there's some people sitting in here who shared some of the pain of some of the years gone by with the work hours and things that were going on. But the thing that got me through the most during some of those years was coaching. And I found in looking back, my kids are older now, and I don't get to coach them anymore, but during that time period, by giving away and pouring into those kids was so important to me. It carried me through those years that I find them extremely valuable now. In the same way, the people and the efforts that I did here and the people that I was able to pour into, those are the most valuable things to me now looking back. Lastly, is that don't get so focused on the rat race of achievement. Focus on being authentic, being true to who you are, not fake, not whatever, because as I said, we can smell that a mile away. Good things will happen to you, I promise, because that's what the valuable things that you'll take away are that you can rest on the fact that you are true and you are authentic. So to you sergeants here, I am impressed. As always, I give you my best. I know that you'll be successful. I know all of you anyway, and I know what you're about. The thing that I'll leave you in particular with is I really, really hope that you're taking full advantage of your position, the time that you have left, and the people that you have the ability to influence. And I promise you that's the thing that'll sustain you and keep you when that last day comes for you to hang your uniform up. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Good luck. Well done.
Thank you very much, Chief. Those words were really prophetic. Personal story briefly. In 2017, I just lost my younger brother to brain cancer and spoke with Chief Estes about those exact points there. And it was really a watershed moment for me in my life as I realized that it wasn't necessarily about myself, but it was about taking care of those that we are entrusted with. So Chief Estes, on behalf of everyone at the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department, I want to thank you for your indelible mark that you left on this organization. And these 11 graduates here today are a direct result of that work. So thank you very much. All right, now if I would have Sergeant Henry Rozelle and Deputy Chief Brochu join me up on stage, we will get to the main event here. So if Sergeant Katie Anderson could join us upstage, please. Sergeant Anderson has worked for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for the past 15 years. She was promoted to the rank of sergeant in October of 2020 and is currently assigned to the Metro Division. Next up is Sergeant Adam DeGeorge. Sergeant DeGeorge has worked for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for the past 19 years. He was promoted to the rank of sergeant in February of 2018 and is currently assigned to the Internal Affairs Bureau. Sergeant John Garrod. Sergeant Garrod has worked for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for the past 13 years. He was promoted to the rank of sergeant in May of 2014 and is currently assigned to the South Division. Sergeant Andrew Greenlees. Sergeant Greenlees has worked for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for the past 13 years. He was promoted to the rank of sergeant in October of 2016 and is currently assigned to the Internal Affairs Bureau. Sergeant Alec LaFontaine. Sergeant LaFontaine has worked for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for the past 10 years. He was promoted to the rank of sergeant in December of 2019 and is currently assigned to the Westover Division. The most senior sergeant of the group, next up, Sergeant Christopher LeClaire. He's worked for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for the past 23 years as of yesterday. He was promoted to the rank of sergeant in August of 2011 and is currently assigned to the Special Operations Division, managing our Civil Emergency Unit and logistics. Sergeant Christopher Roseborough. Sergeant Roseborough has worked for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for the past 8 years. He was promoted to the rank of sergeant in October of 2020 and is currently assigned to the Independence Division. Next up is Sergeant Kevin Pietras. Sergeant Pietras has worked for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for the past 13 years. He was promoted to the rank of sergeant in March of 2017 and is currently assigned to the University City Division. Sergeant Eric Schneider. Sergeant Schneider has worked for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for the past 10 years. He was promoted to the rank of sergeant in March of 2020 and is currently assigned to the University City Division. Sergeant Kevin Triola. Sergeant Triola has worked for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for the past 15 years and was promoted to the rank of sergeant in March of 2017 and is currently assigned to the ABC unit. And our final graduate of the day is Sergeant Camille Waters. He has worked for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for the past 19 years, was promoted to the rank of sergeant in October of 2017, and is currently assigned to the North Division. This time, I would ask all 11 of our Sergeant Leadership Development graduates if they could please stand and be recognized for this outstanding achievement. All right, without a doubt, the rank of sergeant is the most critical leadership position in any law enforcement agency. Before the development and institution of this class, the only formalized training you received was that initial one-week orientation course. Now, this program was created to help bridge that gap by providing 17 sessions over the course of 4 months. You focused on topics like high liability job dimensions of a sergeant, covered topics like leadership styles and police management, community collaboration, and employee wellness, among a multitude of others. Now, the 11 of you joined 26 previous sergeants who graduated from the first 2 sergeant leadership development classes, and make no mistake about it, each of you have the opportunity to continue rising up within our esteemed organization. Now, 8 of you have yet to even reach the halfway point in your career. Now, including the upcoming promotions that are occurring in 2 weeks, 5 of the previous 26 have been promoted to the rank of lieutenant, and I'm confident will continue to rise. The profession of policing will continue to need strong leadership long after each of us have moved on to other challenges. The challenge is to make your mark and be the difference while you are here. Now, I know yesterday each of you received an email from Wayne Embry with motivational speaker Simon Sinek in it, and I strongly encourage you to watch that. In addition to him being a phenomenal motivational speaker, he's also a best-selling author and wrote the book called Leaders Eat Last. And the book can be summarized in 3 sentences. Leadership is about taking care of people. Leaders are not responsible for the numbers, rather leadership is about the people. And take care of the people, and the numbers will take care of themselves. As Sargent Leadership Development graduates, you are intimately familiar with the importance of taking care of each other. One of the basic tenets of this program is that the team can always go further than any one individual can go themselves. Make sure you always take care of your team. Jim Harbaugh, the head football coach at my alma mater, the University of Michigan, go Blue, lives by the following mantra: attack each day with the enthusiasm unknown to mankind. I encourage each of you to live by these words, and you will be able to effect dramatic change within not only your organization and your team, but from wherever you are. As we close today, I would be remiss if I did not recognize the Sargent Leadership Development course staff, the individuals who truly helped make this course happen, starting with Deputy Chief Kurt Voorhees, Lieutenant J.D. Furr, Lieutenant Trent Beam, Lieutenant Mike Carter, Sergeant Henry Rozelle, Sergeant Camilla Gibbs, and finally, one of my favorite people, Officer Wayne Embry. With that, I want to thank you for tuning in today, joining us for this special occasion and these lives of these 11 tremendous leaders. Thank you very much. God bless. Godspeed.